So, after learning what sugar can do to the brain, a lot of people tell me, okay, I'll just switch to diet soda. No calories, no sugar, no problem. But here's the twist: artificial sweeteners, marketed as sugar free, can fool your brain and your body in ways that actually backfire and make things worse. The reason most people switch to artificial sweeteners is to manage their diabetes and weight. But ironically, studies show that consuming artificial sweeteners is associated with increases in weight and waist circumference, also known as belly fat, and the higher incidence of obesity, hypertension, metabolic syndrome, type 2 diabetes, and cardiovascular events. All the things they thought they were helping by switching from sugar. Here's how artificial sweeteners fool the brain and contribute to weight gain and conditions like type 2 diabetes. When your brain tastes something sweet, it expects calories to follow. But artificial sweeteners deliver sweetness without calories, that is, without energy. It's like ringing the dinner bell and never serving the meal. Your brain gets confused, your appetite ramps up, and you crave even more sugar. One of my cardiac rehab patients proudly told me he switched to diet soda, only to find his sweet cravings got worse. His brain was expecting the reward that never came. Studies show people who regularly use artificial sweeteners often eat more overall and crave sweeter foods. Now, here's where it gets even more interesting. Artificial sweeteners don't just confuse your brain, they confuse your gut too. Your gut and brain are connected by what's called the vagus nerve. That's your gut-brain highway. What happens in one affects the other, and studies have shown this connection. They found that artificial sweeteners alter gut bacteria and interfere with learning and memory, especially with long-term use. Also, recent studies suggest an increased risk of stroke and dementia with regular consumption of artificial sweeteners. Some studies link aspartame and sucralose to higher rates of anxiety, headaches, and cognitive fog. Did you know that approximately 70 to 80% of your immune cells are in your gut? And when your gut bacterial balance is disrupted, it can cause inflammation. Inflammation not only negatively affects your immunity, it contributes to the degeneration of brain cells and the development of chronic diseases. Artificial sweeteners are ultra-processed, so even if it originates from a leaf like stevia, the end product is not a natural sweetener, although it's marketed as being natural. Unless you're eating stevia in its whole leaf form, which is not FDA approved due to possible health effects, it isn't natural. To produce stevia commercially, the plant is chemically processed into a powder or liquid extract. Like other sugar substitutes, stevia can cause more harm than regular sugar due to its potent sweetness. For example, stevia is 300 times sweeter than sugar. Aspartame, also known as Equal and NutraSweet, is 160 to 200 times sweeter than sugar. Sucralose, or Splenda, is 600 times sweeter than sugar, and saccharin, or Sweet and Low, is 300 times sweeter than sugar. Due to the intense sweetness, artificial sweeteners can increase sugar cravings. Since sugar substitutes are extremely sweet, it's not unusual that artificial sugar junkies become desensitized to sweetness. Typically, their diet consists of diet soda, sugar-free drinks, cereals and snacks, as well as coffee, tea, or oatmeal, heavily spiked with a sugar substitute. As a result, fresh fruit doesn't taste sweet enough, and they pour on a sweetener to make it more appetizing. I actually had a patient who could not eat fresh, ripe strawberries in season without covering the berries with Splenda. He said they just weren't sweet enough. In brain studies, people who regularly consumed diet beverages had smaller brain volumes and poorer memory performance compared to those who didn't drink these beverages. So just like with sugar, artificial sweeteners can also impair the hippocampus, your main memory center. Instead, flip your sweetness source. Choose natural sweetness with benefits. My favorite natural swap is date sugar. Date sugar is simply pulverized dehydrated dates. Nothing else is added or altered. You still get fiber, minerals, and natural sweetness without the processed sugar spike. Dates have the best nutrient score of any fresh fruit and the highest concentration of polyphenols of any dried fruit. Polyphenols protect your body by acting as powerful antioxidants that reduce disease-causing inflammation. That's because they grow in deserts, and the harsh environment promotes the formation of polyphenols in order to protect the palm's fruit. Date sugar is similar in color and texture to brown sugar and can be substituted for other sweeteners in your recipes. However, unlike refined sugars, date sugar doesn't dissolve in liquid, so it's not something to use in your coffee, for example. For liquids, use date syrup, which dissolves easily in liquid because it's already a liquid. The syrup will integrate smoothly into hot or cold beverages or foods. My favorite brand of date sugar is Date Lady because it naturally contains 2 grams of sugar per teaspoon. Compare that to cane sugar, honey, coconut sugar, or agave, which contain 2 to 3 times more sugar per teaspoon. So artificial sweeteners may sound like the smarter choice, but your brain and your gut know better. The more we return to real food and whole ingredients, the better we protect our memory and mood. Now let's talk about another everyday habit that silently affects brain health, and that's alcohol.